On today's episode of Locked On Angels, the Angels have a really good game on Friday where they put everything together in Cleveland. And then they follow it up with two really bad games where everything falls apart. So what happened this weekend? Let's talk about it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Monopoly Go. The fast-paced game is now on your mobile phone. Is it really a fast-paced game? It's a long game that now you can play on your mobile phone with friends and family, with all sorts of tournaments, fun pieces. It's a whole lot of fun. You need to download Monopoly Go today. It's free in the Google Play Store and the App Store.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, we've been fans of this team for years, and it's our third season here at Locked On Angels, talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday, every single weekday with you. We appreciate you being here with us. On today's show, we're going to recap the weekend against the Guardians. There was a lot. There was some good, and there was some bad, there was some in between. Mike, I just can't get over the fact that these guys can hang with the first place team, beat them 6-0 on Friday, and then do the things that they do on Saturday and Sunday. So just drives me absolutely insane. Let's get to Friday's game because I want to talk about Jose Soriano's start.
Yeah, he really pitched well, Johnny. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks, 88 pitches, 60 of them were strikes. Wash on Soriano. He said, I thought he was in control. He was spotting his fastball. He was getting the secondary stuff across. When he got in trouble, he made his pitches. That's what he's capable of doing. I'm very happy for him. I'm happy that he's been working so hard and finally put this all together. And John, a question from Fan Mail Friday was, hey, do you think maybe Soriano should move back to the bullpen to help the bullpen? Here's the reason why you don't move this guy. He's having a phenomenal season, learning how to be a starting pitcher again. His ERA is at 3.77 through 28 2/3 innings. Soriano said about this start, it means a lot to me because I started my career as a starter in the minors, and all I wanted to do was win a game as a starter in the majors. And so this is his first major league win as a starter, and just looked phenomenal, John. And there was a difference in how he approached this game, and you could see the difference starting in the first inning. He threw 14 strikes with his first 17 pitches. In his previous outing, he threw 11 strikes in 27 pitches. So he really was able to hit the strike zone and looked focused and ready to go when he started on Friday.
Mike, somebody asked on our YouTube page, they said, do you think that they purposefully had Matt Thaiss catch so that O'Hoppe could catch Soriano the next game? And I don't think that was intentional because it was a day game after a night game where the Angels faced the Phillies in Anaheim during the day. But I will say, is there something to O'Hoppe behind the dish for Jose Soriano? What do you think?
I think that O'Hoppe is learning how to be a really good catcher, a really good receiver behind the plate. And he has admitted that some of the mistakes that pitchers have made this year, it was his call to throw that pitch. Obviously, he's
with
not in
Soriano.
He's not in charge of location, but he is in charge of pitch selection. They have to trust him. And I wonder if maybe the relationship between Soriano and the starting staff, but in particular Soriano, is O'Hoppe's relationship with the starting staff, in particular with Soriano. I think that that's growing and developing. And Matt Thaiss is a backup catcher. And to have your future foundational piece as a catcher, I think is really needed and necessary for this starting rotation.
He's a lot more mobile back there too. I mean, he more than Matt Thaiss. Absolutely. I think you see there's some wild pitches sometimes that O'Hoppe will stretch out for. And it's like, hey dude, there's nobody on base. You're good.
Right.
Like, you don't got to do that.
Just let it go.
But he does it anyway. So I think that some of the success that Soriano had You could probably attribute that to Logan O'Hoppe.
Yeah, I think that you're right. And I loved how he approached this game. There's two moments that stood out to me, Johnny. First, in the bottom of the second, Zach Neto bounces a throw to first, and he makes an error with 2 outs. Soriano follows up that error with 3 straight knuckle curves to strike out the batter.
Yeah.
And what I noticed on Twitter was something that I was thinking, and I actually said to you, and you said to me kind of at the same time, but everybody was tweeting, okay, that's how you pick up your teammates. That's how it's done. Are you paying attention, Angels starters? Are you paying attention, Patrick Sandoval?
Yes,
because
I was saying, Patrick Sandoval, are you paying attention?
he bounced back, and it was so good, John. It was so good to see him handle himself and not get thrown by that. And he threw just 3 more pitches. He was that dominant. And then there was a second issue that I thought was really important to point out, and that's in the bottom of the 5th. Soriano got into some trouble. He had the bases loaded with 2 outs, but then he struck out the final batter to get out of it. And prior to that, he made an error in that inning, and then he walked a batter on a close call to load the bases, and none of that threw him, John. And I think, again, to go back to your question about O'Hoppe and Theis, having O'Hoppe in there, I wonder if it's a confidence booster for Soriano.
Well, you can throw your nasty stuff and trust that O'Hoppe's going to be able to block it, stop it, all that kind of thing. Not that Theis can't do that, but I go back to, again, I think O'Hoppe is just way more mobile behind the dish, side to side, up and down. I think that O'Hoppe is the more mobile of the two. The Angels offense did what it hadn't done all season in this one, Mike. They made intentional contact. They moved runners over. They took advantage of runners in scoring position. Some of the offensive highlights, top of the 3rd, Nolan Shonowell hit his 3rd home run of the season. It was a hanging curveball that he just took for a ride, 2 outs, and it made it 1-0 Angels. I love this tweet from Locked On Angels Hall of Famer Brent McGuire. He said Nolan hit 093 with a 259 on base and a 163 slugging through the first 14 games of the season. Since then, in 13 games, Shonowell has hit 362, a 388 on base, and a 511 slugging. How about that? This is why you don't send him down. I'm doing the finger wave, the very, very bad man. I'm doing the boo. This is why you don't send him down, Mike. And there was a great article from Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register talking about Nolan Shonowell, and how he said in the article that Johnny Washington was pleading for Nolan Shonowell to get back to what he does, and that's make contact. And don't be a heavy hitter. Don't be Barry Bonds. Just be a contact guy, and you're going to get mistake pitches, and you're going to hit home runs. And that curveball up was certainly a mistake pitch that he took advantage of.
Yeah. Top of the 4th, Cole Calhoun. Oh, I'm sorry. Willie Calhoun.
I knew you were going to do that. Dumb.
I mean, that guy, he wasn't even supposed to be a major player, but in this game, he hits cleanup. He hits a double in the top of the 4th.
And he's doing stuff.
3 for 4 in this game. Then O'Hoppe doubles. Calhoun scores. It's 2-0. And that snapped an 0 for 11 skid for Logan O'Hoppe. And then with 2 runners on, Mickey Moniak hits a 3-run home run, his 2nd of the year, made it 5-0. It was nice to see Mickey Moniak make some good contact and do what he did last year. And Adrianza before him had a great at bat and earned a walk after being down in the count. So he was able to hit that home run because Adrianza drew the walk.
Yeah, top of the 5th after 2 singles by Shonowell and Rengifo. Man, I never thought I'd say this, but Rengifo being sick, you felt that. You felt him not in this lineup this weekend after Friday. Taylor Ward hit a sacrifice fly that scored Nolan Shonowell, made it 6-0. After Soriano left the game, Wash brought in Amir Garrett for an inning, and he did really well. I know that I didn't speak highly of him when he first got called up because he hasn't been a great reliever. But you know what they did, Mike, in AAA? They wanted to make sure that Amir Garrett was throwing strikes, and that's exactly what he was doing in this one. Mike, they brought in Jose Suarez, and I tweeted, and I said, well, that was a fun game while it lasted. But he pitched well. 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He's up 6-0. Is this a situation that he should be in? What do you think?
Up a lot, down a lot. I think that's when you bring him in, help him to get confidence. He's probably going to get more confidence if he's brought in when you're up a lot because it's part of a win. But I know that they're trying to work something out with him. Obviously, they're not ready to let him go yet or let other teams have him.
I'm ready to let him go. Good grief.
It's frustrating. I know. It's very frustrating. And so in this game, to see him be successful was good, but everybody was like gripping the edge of their seat because they weren't sure what he was going to do with a 6-run lead, right?
Somebody asked us, is it time to say nice things about Jose Suarez? I said, I'm not quite there yet.
Nah,
it's not like Aaron Loop last year where I said, say nice things about Aaron Loop. Yeah. I'm not there yet. Right. Jose Suarez.
Right. Hey, notes before this game, Mike Trout did have successful surgery. He wasn't on the road trip. The procedure is called a partial medial. Help me with this word, Johnny.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to say it.
Menistectomy.
Thank you. That's the kind of surgery he had. The usual prognosis is 4 to 6 weeks, which is what they said would happen. And I think they need to give him some time, make sure he rehabs and does all that he needs to do. Mm-hmm. So I would say maybe July, maybe around the All-Star break after that he's back, if they're going to push him back a little bit. And then Robert Stevenson had UCL reconstruction with an internal brace surgery last Wednesday. That sounds painful even just to say.
I know.
But it was successful. Everything worked out. And so he is going to be on the trajectory of coming back within a year.
Man, we just have the worst luck. We get this stud reliever and he can't even pitch this year. Yeah. So it's just another part of the Angels curse, Michael.
And speaking of bad luck, I do want to acknowledge Cole Fontenelle plays for the Trash Pandas, slid into second base and just a lower body injury. And so many people said it's an injury that you don't want to play on social media. The video, you don't want to see it.
Yeah, it was pretty gruesome.
Prayers for him, and he was having a good minor league season, and there was some conversation like with Rendon out, would he be somebody that would be brought up?
Right.
But unfortunately, he is going to miss some significant time.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen every single day. The Angels are playing the Pirates at 3:40 Pacific time. Mike, we missed Jared Jones. Thank goodness. Have you watched that guy pitch?
He's great.
He is a stud, and he's on my fantasy team. I watched the Pirates game on Saturday on MLB TV. Electric.
Yeah.
And we are not going to have to face him in this Pirates series, thank goodness. So the Angels are playing the Pirates 3:40 Pacific time. They'll be at PNC Park for these next 3 games. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, what's the deal with Reid Detmers? I got to do a little Jerry Seinfeld shout out because of Unfrosted. What's the deal with Reid Detmers, Mike? Well, I actually dove into some numbers, and I think that I have a small indication of what's going wrong with him. So we'll get into all of that coming right up.
All right, salespeople, listen up. LinkedIn is here to help you. I know the economy is kind of tough, and are people buying? Are people going to listen to you, making contacts, all of that stuff? It's really hard, can be really difficult. So LinkedIn is here to help you. It's called the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And the Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals like you effectively prospect and engage high-value customers. And in doing so, it will help you bring in higher revenue and increase your sales performance. The LinkedIn Sales Navigator helps you to target the right buyers, be aware of key signals like job changes or which accounts you should prioritize. And it also shows you hidden allies so that you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. It's fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform. The Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with people that matter. So right now, you can try the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and you'll get 60 days for free, a free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That's linkedin.com/lockedon. 60-day free trial. See if you like it. See if it works for you. Make sure you go to that website, linkedin.com/lockedon, to get started. And Locked On Angels is also brought to you by Monopoly Go. We've been playing this game. It's a whole lot of fun, and apparently a lot of people think it's a lot of fun because it's been downloaded over 150 million times, and it's just like Monopoly, but you can have it on your phone. And it has all sorts of great boards to play on. You can buy and sell property. You can take advantage of your friends and family by renting them the iconic properties and charging them a whole lot of money. And there's tournaments to see how you're doing against not just those that you know, but those that you don't know. It's a fun, mindless way to debrief from the day. For me, I love it because it's one of those things where I can just take a break and see how I'm doing, and then I can come back to it later. You should download Monopoly Go right now. It's free in the App Store and the Google Play Store.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. It's time to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, because all they do on cable sports channels is yell and scream and have terrible takes like Stephen A. Smith did about Mike Trout and all that stuff. You're not going to get any of that nonsense on Locked On Sports Today, because these are people who know what they're talking about, Mike. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's programmed for you every single day to bring you the biggest stories in sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, news. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app as well. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And speaking of your team every day, the Angels are playing the Pirates, 3:40 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Angels did everything right on Friday.
Yes.
And then Saturday came and they forgot what they did on Friday. And Sunday came and they forgot what they did on Friday, right? So Saturday's game, they lost this one 7-1. Johnny, this is the third straight Reid Detmers start that hasn't been great. 5 2/3, 5 hits, 7 earned, 4 walks, 7 Ks, 95 pitches. Here's the key: 3 home runs that did him in. The bottom of the slam. The bottom of the 6th, Detmers walks the bases loaded, gives up that grand slam to Bo Naylor. The Naylor boys are just so dangerous against the Yankees.
Dumb Naylor boys. I'm sick of Ramon Laureano and his PEDs. I'm sick of the Naylors. Good grief.
And here's the tension. The issue in the game is that Reid is giving up home runs to batters who are hitting under 200.
Yeah,
and they're not having fantastic seasons, right? And the Angels just have a reputation of helping guys out who are struggling, right?
They do it all the time.
And I wonder if maybe something with Reid in this game shifted, because Ohapi did leave because he got a ball fouled off of his hand. He ended up being fine. He says he's ready to go for today's game. X-rays were negative. But I wonder if that may have thrown him off a bit. Gooby mentioned something on the TV side. But truthfully, John, Reid hasn't been great. He's really struggled in his last 3 starts. So here's the stats from his first 4. 22 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.19 ERA, 3 earned runs, 30 strikeouts, 7 walks, 15 hits. And what's that say, John? 0 home runs.
Goose
right?
egg. Yeah.
Now, next 3 starts, 17 2/3, 8.15 ERA, 16 earned runs, 14 strikeouts, 7 walks, 20 hits, and 5 home runs. So, Johnny, what's the deal with Reid Detmers?
Mike, it was bugging me so badly that it was after the game. It was Saturday night, and I'm at my computer, and I'm like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
I got to look and see what changed between those first couple outings and the second couple of outings. So here's what I did. I want to look at 2 good outings versus 2 bad outings and use the example of just his fastball. We're not going to get into the slider, the curve, any of that. We're going to look at the fastball to see what could be going on with Reid Detmers. Now, I say this with the caveat that not every run scored has come from the fastball. I mean, He did leave a curveball up or a slider up, and that's what got taken for a ride. But we know how important a fastball can be in terms of setting up other pitches, right? So you got to have that fastball working if you want your changeup, if you want your curve, if you want your slider to be effective. It all plays off the fastball. So before we get into it, let me note one thing. His fastball velocity hasn't changed. It's been consistent. He's sitting about 94. He's gotten it up to 96 mile an hour. So nothing about his fastball velocity has dipped or changed. So it's not anything like that. Now, I'm going to put some numbers up here on the screen if you're watching on TV or on YouTube. But if you're listening, I'll go slowly so that I can explain it. But I've got a good outing here against the Orioles on March 31st. Remember, that was our first win of the season because of Detmers, Mike. The second outing that I have here is his second start against the Orioles on April 22nd. So let me talk about the good outing first. Mike, he had a 55% whiff rate on his fastball. So these guys were swinging and missing on his fastball. Get this. This surprised me. And I think it has a lot to do with what's going on with Reid Detmers. 34% of his fastballs were in the zone, which means 66 of the fastballs, Mike, 66% were outside the zone, right? The Orioles made contact on those outside the zone fastballs 44% of the time. Now, when you're hitting the fastball around the edges and outside the zone, what's going to happen? You're going to induce some weak contact. You're going to hit some ground outs. You're going to hit some fly outs because it's not the heart of the plate. It's not over the plate. It's not down the middle of the strike zone. It's on the edges. And so you're not giving up any good contact there. Mikey gave up 1 run in that start versus the Orioles on March 31st. Now let's go to the bad outing versus the same team on April 22nd. Get this. That first game had a 55% whiff rate on the fastball. This second game against the Orioles, a 22% whiff rate on the fastball. It dipped. And then 50% of his fastballs were in the zone as opposed to 34 the first time out. And the Orioles, they made contact on 88% of those fastballs that were in the zone. So they were sitting fastball, sitting in the zone, and Detmers ended up giving up 4 runs. Now I have 2 more games here. One versus Boston on April 6th, and then just the other day, the Guardians on May 4th. Tiffany's birthday, by the way, your wife's birthday. The good outing against Boston, Mike, he had a 38% whiff rate on the fastball. Not 55 like the first game, but still, pretty significant.
Yeah.
43% of his fastballs were in the zone, which means 57% were outside the zone. And the Red Sox kept going after those pitches outside the zone. In fact, they hit those fastballs 67% of the time that were around the edges of the zone. Again, he's throwing the fastball around the edges of the zone, which means that these guys are not getting great contact. Once again, Mike, Detmers gave up 1 run against Boston with those results. Now, let's look at what happened against the Guardians. Only a 25% whiff rate on his fastball against the Guardians on Saturday. So we started at 55, Mike, with that first start against the Orioles.
Yeah.
His most recent start, 25.
Wow.
56% of his fastballs were in the zone. So only 44% were outside the zone. Guardians had a 76% in the zone contact rate on his fastball. Again, they're sitting fastball. They're waiting for it. They're waiting for it right down the middle. Now, the home run he gave up to Soriano, who, again, I hate, Mr. PED, was a first pitch fastball right down the middle.
Yeah.
Then later on, that grand slam he gave up was just a curveball at the bottom of the zone. Mike, there's a couple of observations here that we can note. Why don't you read those for us?
Yeah. So as the season has gone on, the whiff percentage on his fastball has dropped from game to game. Detmers has been throwing his fastball in the zone a whole lot more from game to game. He was having success throwing it on the edges and out of the zone, but now he's throwing too many in the zone, and hitters have picked up on that, and opposing hitters' contact on the fastball in the zone has increased from one game to the next. That's kind of what has happened. And John, what this tells me that it's fixable.
Yeah.
It's not just like Reid's not great. It just tells me that it's a small pivot, small adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get back to who he was when he pitched against the Orioles. He needs to hit the zone when he needs to hit the zone and then ride the edges of the zone. He's got to really spot that fastball in a much more intentional way. And if he can do that, that's when he's been successful. So this is fixable. Yeah. It's not like he's just a trash pitcher. It's fixable. They're just going to have to figure it out, and he's going to have to perform.
It's funny. There was an article, and I believe it was Jeff Fletcher, again, from the LC Register, talking about Reid Detmers. And Detmers said, I got some things I got to tweak, and I'm just not, accomplishing what I'm trying to do out there and whatnot. But Mike, I think if they're able to identify this, the fact that if he plays around the edges of the zone more with his fastball, he's going to induce that weak contact. And again, those guys are sitting on his fastball. And, 94 is not a bad fastball, but it's certainly hittable. Yeah. And we certainly saw that against the Guardians the other night.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. When it comes to your financial future, sometimes you think that you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can, and now you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every great financier person uses. Is that a term, John? A financier person? What every great financial person uses, and that's Yahoo Finance. For over 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. So whether you're a seasoned investor or you're looking for that extra guidance like me, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data that you need in one place. They are the #1 financial destination, producing a holistic look at your future finances. And I know this is something that I've really been concerned about as I've gotten older and thinking about my family and how to invest. Just recently started doing that, John, recently started investing, and Yahoo Finance has been really, really helpful in giving a whole lot of great direction for me. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For a comprehensive financial news and analysis, you need to visit their brand, the brand behind every great investor. That's yahoofinance.com. They're the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. Once again, yahoofinance.com.
Mike, as we get into game 3 of this weekend, the Angels lost this one 4-1.
Yep.
But it was Griffin Canning's best start of the year.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because he went 6 innings. He only allowed 2 runs, and that was on 4 hits, a walk with 5 strikeouts. It was a 2-run homer from Jose Ramirez, who that was his only hit all weekend long. And man, when you can go to Cleveland and keep Jose Ramirez off the score sheet, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then you've had some success.
Right.
But the problem is that it was too little too late, and he hit that 2-run homer. That's really all it took. I know Matt Moore gave up a 2-run home run later on in the game, but the fact is Jose Ramirez's 2-run home run was really the shot that did it. And unfortunately now for Griffin Canning, his ERA is 6.69, and the Angels had the same issues as the previous game and pretty much all year. They're 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position.
Yep.
I do have to give Joe Adell credit for actually hitting a sacrifice fly and getting the 1 run that they were able to bring home. And at that point, Mike, that gave them the lead. It was 1-0.
Right.
There were several moments in this game where guys like Joe Adell would hit a ball to right field. Brandon Drury did the same thing. And who's out there in right field? Ramon frickin' Soriano again, who wasn't any good after he got caught with PEDs and used to destroy us as an Oakland A. I tweeted the other day, I said, can we get some of those wins back from PED, Ramon Soriano just destroying us all the time? Same thing happened with Bartolo Colon. Remember when he was on the A's and he got caught? It was like, well, can we get some of those wins back too? Because he dominated us this whole year. So I'm just frustrated. The Angels are sitting at 12-22. It's a season high. 10 games under 500 in this one. And I think, again, I go back to the biggest frustration is these guys were hitting the ball hard. They were hitting it well, and they just wasn't finding the gaps, wasn't finding a spot in the field where it could land. Matt Theis still has his big loopy A-button swing. It's the same swing every time he goes up there. And the Vasgersian and Gooby were kind of joking about like, oh, here comes a big hack at 3-0. And yeah, it's a big hack, but it's in the same spot every time, Mike. It just drives me absolutely insane. So this one was really unfortunate. The whole weekend was kind of unfortunate because, again, like I mentioned, they come out and dominate on Friday, and that's because they have an excellent start from Jose Soriano. You see somebody like Mickey Moniak, who has not been getting enough playing time this year, and now that Aaron Hicks is DFA'd and we're done playing around with all this stuff, Mickey Moniak is getting more of an opportunity, and I honestly think that's why he hit the home run the other day. Yeah, he's finally getting opportunities in this one. Mike, I had a question, and it does go back to Friday, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Okay.
Ron Washington decided to put Willie Calhoun in the cleanup spot at number 4. Now, obviously, paid off pretty well. Calhoun had a great weekend. And look, when you're running out this lineup of guys who are the backups to the backups because of your injuries, this is the lineup that you're going to get. This is all the hope that you can hope for.
Yeah.
But Calhoun back cleanup because Ron Washington didn't feel confident in guys like Ohapi or Adele or maybe even Mickey Moniak because they change who they are depending on their spot in the lineup. He didn't trust them to just play their game, stay within their limits, and do what they do well. He felt like if they get put in the cleanup spot, they're all going to try to be, Albert Pujols the last 10 years for us. What do you think about that?
I love that he said it out loud.
Me too.
Because we never had this conversation or this type of chatter for years with the Angels.
Yeah.
It was always like, well, we really like him in that spot. We've joked about that, right?
Yeah.
And the numbers say, I love that he said it out loud because these guys need to hear that.
Yeah.
These guys need to hear. And I don't think he just said it in the media. I think he's also said it to them. I think
of course.
Ron has integrity that way. But these guys need to hear that. What this team doesn't have is a Mookie Betts.
Mm-hmm.
Mookie Betts is good wherever you put him.
Yeah.
And a part of that is his athletic ability, but a part of that also is Mookie Betts rises to the occasion. It's unbelievable to me that the Red Sox even traded this guy. I mean, that guy should have been a Red Sox for the rest of his life, but he is so good. And that's what the Angels don't have. Even when Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon and Shohei Ohtani, when he was on this team, were in this lineup. Dodger fans who are watching Shohei have admitted now to me, well, he's not really great with runners in scoring position or in late moments. And I'm like, I'm not saying a word because I don't want to get killed by the showbiz, right?
Yeah.
But that's the reality of this team, is that they don't have a Mookie Betts mentality. They freak out in those moments. They freak out on the big stage. They try to do what they aren't supposed to do. It's interesting that Johnny Washington said to Nolan Shonowell, I need you. Please get back to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got you here. That's
Yeah.
why you were in the majors the fastest than anybody's ever been in the majors. So why would you change that?
Yeah.
Don't listen to the narrative of, I need to have power. It'd be great because I'm a corner, infielder. I need to have some sort of pop in my bat. Dude, hit one home run for the entire year, but bat over 300 and get on base at a 400 clip.
Right.
That'll be fantastic, right? We talk often, and we've talked about Sandoval specifically. And he talks about how, like, he hears the fan chatter and all that stuff. I'm sure these guys hear all the chatter.
Mm-hmm.
This is a different situation than Sandoval, though. Nolan, don't listen to any of us. Just do what you do. And I think the same with O'Hoppe and the same with Joe Adell and whoever else is there. Just do what you do. You're at the major league level, and keep your swing level. Don't hit a bomb, hit a double. In fact, I think sometimes late in games, a home run is a rally killer. Instead,
I hear you.
Hit it into the gap. Hit a single. So, Johnny, I love that he said it out loud. And it's just an indication of what this team lacks, not just in player ability, but what this team lacks in, can we call it clutch ability? That none of these guys are able to rise to the occasion as of yet because they let the occasion get the best of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is a young team, and this is what we should expect from this young team.
Yeah.
I think that Ron Washington saying it out loud, I loved it because, like you said, we haven't had this before. And it's about time that not only are the players accountable to Ron Washington and what he's telling them, but Ron's going to be transparent with the media and with the fans and say, look, those guys, I love those guys, but they don't meet the moment, and they try to do something that they're not. They try to be something that they're not. I can totally see Joe Adell in the cleanup spot trying to pull a 3-run bomb and then grounding out to, shortstop or something like that. When Joe Adell should take that pitch on the outside and hit it the other way and hit it into the gap and score those runs that way. And I think that's exactly what Ron Washington is talking about here. So it was refreshing to hear that.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels play the Pirates at 3:40 Pacific time, and you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube, get in the comments section, hit that thumbs up button on your way down there. Also, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? That really helps Mike and I out more than you know. We'd love to have your subscription. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Well, since the Angels are playing terrible, it means that they're going to get a really good draft pick next year if they continue this trajectory. But speaking of picks, Johnny, the pool money for the Angels was announced, and we're going to tell you how much they have to spend on picks this year and the potential players that they could get at the 4 top 100 picks that they have in the draft. So excited about that. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Looking forward to that conversation. We hope you are too. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Did I do the weird voice thing?
You did great.
Oh, thank goodness.
You're back to normal, John.